castle. You're faithful or you're a traitor. There comes Alan coming. One of you must go and we'll see you later. You're a traitor.
Hello, faithful friends of Tally the Votes. We are here to discuss this week's episode of the Traitors Season 3. It has been a week of betrayal and deception and a duel for the ages. Our Alliance of Four is here to cover this week's murder and banishment. First up is a woman whose voice you can often hear from behind a bookshelf. It's Christy.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Christy. Again, we have procured the hand to the hammer of law, thanks to a very hefty retainer, our very own legal Fergus. Hey, Brian.
Hey, gang, ready to talk.
All right, and last but not least, a man who would hurry up any hill to erect a head. It's our buddy David.
Let's go.
Hey, guys.
No.
Welcome. All right. Well, is anyone... Go ahead, Christy. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think we were all feeling like Bob H. watching that.
Wheeze.
We feel like that, yeah, all the time. We're there with you, Bob. It's okay.
We're there. That's me every day up the steps. Okay, guys. Okay, so lots of reality TV fans here. So anyone who has seen Rob compete in the past knows that there's one thing that's for sure. Rob is going to rob if he's given the opportunity to. But we can talk about that a little bit later. The first thing I want to cover is the murder. We didn't spend a lot of time of it in the episode itself, but Brian, I know that Jeremy was your winner's pick. And so I wanted
That's a new record, by the way. Good job, Brian.
Evil.
And so I kind of wanted to
choose a new one.
Yeah, yes. I got to bring it over to you. It's okay to lose them early because it gives you more chances to replace them as they get cut
with somebody who's decent. Yeah.
Well, I would like to think that because this supposed legend like joined in taking him out, that he was seen as a particularly strong player.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
no doubt.
You know, my gut feeling was right, but being a novice at the gameplay of all this buffoonery, I may have mistakenly picked him, but I still love him. And let's hope for the mid-season twist where some of the early entrants get brought back from
the dead.
You know,
can I ask you? Do you think, because he did, you know, they all got to say their little piece when they were laying in the coffin. Do you think that, like, had he not been the one set up for murder, do you think that he ultimately would have set himself up for banishment with what he said? Or do you think a traitor would have, like, decided a partnership was a good idea?
Well, I had two thoughts on that. The first was I thought it's terrible to the group to do that. And but it might be smart in a way of sussing out who traitors are. Because that's a pretty bold thing to do. If you know, that's a pretty bold thing to say. And I think if you survive it, you can come back to the table and say, well, like, if I was a traitor, I wouldn't have said that. And yeah, you know, like it was, but it reeked of desperation. But I really liked him. And, you know, I have to say, Kentucky Brian is gunning for Boston Rob. We'll talk later. He's strong, but man, there's just too many ass kissers on this show, and we'll get there later.
Just describe Boston Rob's entire reality TV's career.
Oh, I don't know how the man does. I don't know how the man with the dad bod and the bloodshot eyes always manages to make it happen, but he does. He does get a harem.
It's magic.
No, it's the twinkle in his eye. That's we're going to hear that all season. The twinkle in the eye.
I do like a twinkle.
Well, after our murder, we had a few interesting conversations happening at breakfast. There was a lot of talk mentioning Danielle, and there was a little bit last week. And right now we have Gabby and Nikki and the Bambis that have all mentioned her names. There's also the hunt that's starting for Bob, with Dylan being the runner initially.
Yeah, but he was doing that already, right? For at least two of the last
initially
week's episodes.
Dylan was going for it. But the interesting thing is
I'm sorry, don't you mean Zac Efron's brother?
yes, Zac Efron's brother.
You mean the really bad actor, Zac Efron's brother?
What's
not
his
great
name
actor.
again?
The not great actor. But here's the thing. We've got 2 traitors names being thrown out there. Rob's isn't yet, but someone who's still completely under the radar is Carolyn. And so I'm kind of wondering, Christy, like, do you think that her name is in anyone's mouth because she's that unsuspecting, or do you think that maybe Daniel and Bob's game is a little sloppy?
Okay.
Like, which do you think?
I think she doesn't look like the person who would be scheming, right? And then there's like things that people are noticing. Like, it wasn't a bad thing last week that they had left her out and she was wandering around not doing anything, right? And is in hindsight now, that looks good for her, right?
Yeah.
They seem to they're not worried about her or like scared of her at all. She walks into breakfast and all of the Bambis are like, "You look so beautiful," and I was like, she just kind of looked like, "Oh wait, me? No, I'm not me," right? Because she's Carolyn, so she's gonna be like, "Bleh." But you know, no, I mean, I think she's playing a great game. I'm really proud of her. I just, as long as she can like keep her emotions inside her face a little bit at certain times, but we'll talk about that later. That's the only thing that concerns me for her, but she's doing great. And yeah, she's Carolyn. She's awesome.
She's Carolyn. I
She
think
got
a lot of people
confessional time tonight.
She did. And you know what's really, really fun is in the social medias. A shout out to Carolyn because she was in agreement with me and talking about how terrible the lighting is in the confessional chairs.
Okay,
You know, everyone looks like a dead fish. It's terrible.
Yes, it all looks like, remember back in the day when finally you could take a camera underwater and take pictures of your friends and you're like, oh my God, we're going to take our pictures underwater.
Yeah, with like
That's
the
what it looks like.
disposable cameras.
Yes, it looks like that. There's like this weird filter. Their eyes all look like cataract over or something.
There's no like
flat.
filler. They didn't use a filler light. Like, it's just like
very odd, but it's everybody. But I could tell the most on her, I think, just because she has those beautiful blue eyes.
They're so blue. Yeah, anyone that has blue eyes, it really stands out on them.
Really made her look like she was underwater.
I wonder if, like, because one would think that the editing process, like, is kind of happening as they're filming it, right? Like, there's somebody that's ultimately calling the shots of what they're seeing coming through the monitor. So do you think they just filmed all of the confessionals at once?
Way before that, before they even would film anyone in the confessionals, when they're setting that space up, they're doing lighting checks with just random stand-ins. Like, here, sit down. We got to check lighting here.
It's a weird.
They knew it was like
really weird thing.
Odd choice, unless it's a big clue. Maybe it's a big clue that at some point we're gonna be underwater,
or that they fired the lighting guy like the day they started filming. Maybe he tested positive for COVID.
Or maybe
reality TV tech talk with James.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe they just wanted to diminish the twinkle in the eye factor.
Oh, maybe.
So they don't light it that way, so that people can't be wooed by just a boyish twinkle in someone's eye. And the producer said, "We got to stop this." Either that, or Alan says, "No one in this room can look better than me." It could be that as well.
I'm gonna go for that, Alan. We love you so much. Please come on our show.
There are so many amazing outfits
that I posted on our Facebook page with Tony's exit video.
Mm-hmm.
And he had no idea. He didn't suspect Caroline one little bit.
That's another point in her call.
They never do.
Yep.
But there's no way, Tony.
He said, and you got to give it up for him. He said, I completely underestimated her and I'm totally wrong, or something like that. And
the stupid thing is, as a Survivor person, he watched her season. He knows
he knew who she was. Yep.
He had to have known that people already underestimate her. Why do the same thing?
Okay, let's we're already talking about Carolyn, so let's continue this just for another second.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so the way it worked for her in Survivor, Brian, is that we kind of touched on this before. She often had a really good read of what was going on and who to trust and who not to trust, but she was always kind of overlooked. People didn't listen to her ideas, so on and so forth. But then she gets to the final three, and when they're down to the final three, a jury from those that have been kicked out of the game, they deliberate, they decide who's going to win, and they ask a series of questions to all three remaining players. And she didn't get a single vote. And anything that she was a part of, it was easy for Yam to kind of take ownership of it. Even though he had a huge part to play in all of it, he could own it. I'm afraid in that situation, a situation like that, Carolyn was doomed because she can't speak up for herself loud enough. I'm afraid that that's going to happen with her in this to some extent, because if the name ever does get, if her name is pointed out, do you think she's going to be able to save her own ass at that table? I just don't know if she's going to be able to do it.
I don't think
just
she
being
can make
herself.
allies. I don't think she can make allies, but I think her gameplay is actually really strong, and her strength, from what I've seen, and I could be, since I'm a novice, I may be completely barking up the wrong tree here, but I think she needs to keep making the faces and being her, so that way when she does later make faces, like everybody's used to it, nobody thinks anything of it, there's nothing unusual. I think if she tamps down who she is too much later when the pressure really turns up, that could get her caught. And I'm going to tell you a little secret, Jamie. I think if she plays a good game, she will be the traitor that no one sees coming, because no one will think her capable of orchestrating and making the moves and doing things.
Yep.
And she's my replacement pick.
So
Really?
And she's my winner's pick, so I'm going to let you join in on this because.
She's
can I do that, or is that not allowed?
Oh, no,
well,
you technically
you can.
then cannot win, because Jamie would win by virtue of having her first
Oh, okay.
pick.
So, Christy, who's your pick?
Wes,
right? Wes. Mm-hmm.
And David, you went with Brittany.
Derek.
No, I went with Derek. As much
I'm
as
going
I
with.
now.
Let me tell you, I'm going with Brittany.
She's a spirit animal now.
I
After
like
rant
Brittany.
Peloton,
Yep.
I was
Good
like,
job,
I
guys.
love Brittany.
I like Brittany after this week. I think Brittany is like Caroline without the facial tics.
Yes.
She's underestimated. People don't think she's watching and paying attention.
Well,
she's the smartest of the girl clique.
On Big Brother.
Yeah.
She'll be my replacement then.
Okay. Yeah, she has come a long way as far as being able to do physical challenges. It's like a long-standing joke that her first demise in Big Brother was falling off of a slippery wiener. And it's a soundbite that they use every time she has anything. So yeah, she did great in the Big Brother reindeer games, and I see that we have our little bit today where she was talking about her cycling.
I was so excited. I'm like, I'm trying to find out her username.
David, I thought of you immediately.
If anybody out there knows Brittany's Peloton username, I need to have it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I loved it. Yep, I'm glad we're on the same page.
Friend people on Peloton.
I was so excited. I actually was going to go back and record it and use it as a clip tonight, but I didn't have time because
is this going to be like CrossFit? Am I going to hear about Peloton all the time from you? Is that going to be your identity?
It's the new pickleball.
It's the new identity.
Well, it's been going on for 5 years. I don't know where
it's been going on for a while.
Well, I mean, now I'm in the orbit of somebody who's in the cult, so I just have to pay attention. So.
Keep your eyes and ears open.
And David also drives a Jeep. He's in that cult as well.
Oh, Lord.
Drive a Jeep.
I'm just joking. I was just going to say, how many cults could I put you in?
Come on, I'm a big asshole. What do I drive?
A Hummer?
No, I'm not that big an asshole.
Well, he does run up the hill to erect heads. He might drive a Hummer. You never know.
You definitely, because actually nobody living in Florida drives these. It's only the tourists. It's definitely not a convertible Mustang.
It is not.
Okay.
All right.
All
So
right.
we're one
what do you
step closer to
You guys will
not
figure it out.
he
I mean,
doesn't
just
have-
I'm a
doesn't have
big
a
jerk, and I
minivan
think the road is
anymore.
mine.
to the mystique of David on
Oh,
the
you have a
road.
BMW.
Yes.
Oh, for Christ's sakes.
Yep.
Oh, I have a
That's
theory about that, but I'll save that.
That'll
I'm the total stereotype. I admit it. It's fine.
You are. I have guys. I mean, don't come at me, but I have never met a person that I actually liked in real life that drove a BMW. But we'll go. That's fine. You're the exception, David.
isn't
You're
real
the
life.
exception.
isn't
All,
real
all
life.
you BMW owners, pop in there in the chat and say hi to Christy.
Listen. They might.
So
be
now
the
he's
people I'm saying
alienated
in
the
real
entire
life.
country of Australia.
Australia.
Most Germans and all
Germany, come
BMW
on.
drivers.
No. Well,
Hey,
Oh my gosh.
it's a world tour, alienating one country at a time. Christy's gonna knock them off.
no, those aren't people.
International.
But I just said like in real life. It's just in theory. I had it. The people that I was like, it usually is like that, right? David is the exception, I will say. So, David,
If
nice
you drove with
BMW
me, you
owner.
would hate me though. So
If I grew up with you, I'd hate
no, if
you.
you drove in the car with me, you'd be like, "No, I hate you."
Would
So
I be
my
like
question is, would I hate you more?
No,
super
you'd be
gripping
cool
the-
because you'd be
the
like, "You're just
door,
trying to
like-
get where you're going fast." I'm okay with
You're like,
that.
all right, it's all right. This is all David. Well, David, since the spotlight's on you,
Sorry.
Great.
I got a question for you. I have a few
Okay.
questions for you.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
First of all, Battle of the Statues. Do you remember how many people got shields off of that? Was it like 4 or 5?
6 or 7.
Yeah. Okay.
It was 10.
It was 10.
Okay.
It was 10.
Okay. And who was the majority of those who got
Who
shields?
was that, David?
Dudes
Dudes, like big dudes. What I'm asking
who
you is,
could lift the big heavy head. Right.
what I'm asking you is, did you find yourself fighting the urge to yell, "It's the battle of the big boys"? Because I did. Like, I did. I'm like, what is this, Survivor? These okay. These men, they're playing with their physical strength, which, I mean, if you got it, use it. And that fares really well in something like the Challenger Survivor. But do you think just getting shields is going to be enough
No.
for these game players? Because with the exception of Zac Efron's brother, Dylan, he is like the only one that seems like he's really gaming past the physical part. Am I wrong? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, well, first of all, I want to say he's actually playing a pretty good game, so we should probably use his name. His name is Dylan.
His name is Dylan with a Y.
Okay, that's a joke. If you're
Y.
really into the fandom, you understand what I'm joking about. If not, I don't want to go explain it now. But
It stands. It stands.
look, I think at the end of the day, this is a game that has to be played. You're not going to win it winning challenges and shields. It can't be done. It's not. It's not like Survivor. It's not like Big Brother. You can't win out. You can save yourself a couple times if you know you're in the hot seat. But if you save yourself, you best be working on the people to take the spotlight off of you while you've got that shield, because it isn't going to last.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw a few interesting moments. I'm sure that I'm not alone in this. I just kind of feel like the physical challenge part of this game is the least interesting, and I'm the least invested in it. But it does give us opportunities to set up future situations or future plot lines, if you will. Like Derek stepping in, like trying to, well, I'll help you out the rest of the way. And then, Mr. Who's It, What's It, Fancy Pants, always sweating in the armpits, being like, I'm just going to stand up here and take the head at the end and then make this for me.
Yeah.
There's a few things in here where it's like, okay, you can see where like the outlines are starting where even if you don't think someone's a traitor, you're going to call them out as a traitor because they ticked you off.
Yeah.
Well, and I started to think, and I won't go into what happened yet because we're saving that. But I started to think maybe the strategy of, if you're a faithful, of trying to find the traitors and voting them out is completely wrong. Maybe what you should be doing is just keep voting people out. In other words, you don't care if they're a traitor or they're not. As long as it isn't you, get them the hell out of the mansion until
Yes.
it's just
Okay,
you and Helen
Sandra.
Cummings and the cash.
Yes.
And it would be fun.
I think that is, I think that's maybe the thing that Sandra was trying to put together last year when she was like showing the housewives and trying to lay out names so they could see where the numbers laid. I just don't think that they ever caught on to the idea that you could play Traitors in the same way.
I think the game is going to morph. I think the alliances are going to get stronger, and they're going to be like, we don't give a rat's butt if you're a traitor or you're not. You're in our alliance. You vote the way we want to, and we'll keep you.
Yeah,
Well, it's
you
going to
could
be like
see
every
those
other
voting blocks.
any of the
And
other
then,
reality
and then,
shows
can you
we know
imagine
about.
this? Now the traitor is working for his block
Yeah,
at
And-
night, trying to get somebody out they want out.
yeah,
And if
they're
no one else-
campaigning. Mhm.
right.
Well, I wanted to go back to the activity and just say I thought there were two big moments, and that the edit chose to focus on. And at the time, well, there were two big moments. One was making a point out of Derek,
Yep.
you know, going out of his way to be a nice guy. And in this episode, he stepped way the heck back from his gameplay last time. I think he's not really sure what's going on, and smartly he didn't put himself as much in the spotlight. And let me say, the people that are sad about Bob the drag queen, he did two terrible things at this that he wasn't called out for. One was he started yelling at everybody and being bossy and a jerk like he was in the boat, that somebody could have called him on. And the second one was he called out all the new guys. And, you know, like,
Well, that made someone mad, didn't it?
well, that was the beginning of his end.
Mhm,
And
yeah.
for him and for people to say he was totally disloyal, you know, Rob didn't go at him until he did that, and that caught Rob's attention.
Yep.
That whenever something is on him, he'll deflect, even if it's to you.
Mhm.
And he deflected in that moment. And you know, at that point, Wes and Derek are pulled into it. And what the hell did Derek do? Like to
It just
him
bonds those
that
three
time?
better together, right?
Right.
You-
Like he made two terrible choices, and I thought Derek made a really good choice the way this went. But I'll ask Jamie and Christy this. Don't you think the idea of the men, you know, the way they're doing this against the women, that's gonna come back? Because I've never noticed Alan commenting on that, and he did. He said,
sure
"Huh,
did.
look at this, all the men."
Yeah, I absolutely think that. I absolutely think that's going to happen.
Because
The-
it was a completely selfish move without any
Mhm.
thought or strategy.
Yes, and that is the same different situation, but it's the same thing that Bob ran into himself. He had a strategy, and it's not the first time he's tried to put one of his fellow traders in a box. Like he was like, Carolyn, throw her in the coffin. You know,
Yes.
he I don't know why he's doing that, like what the intentions were, but I would assume that he's thinking if we do this, it's going to throw them off the scent of the traders.
If there's
But
enough
talk to
chaos,
your
you can't pick
team
up the
members.
He
pen.
helped him do that, though, didn't he?
But talk to them first. Like ask them, hey, Rob, I think I'm going to say this thing, you know, or I might mention that today. So at some point today, I might do that. Like heads up, let's
Hey,
get them
yeah.
focused over here. But
In
no,
a situation
no.
like this, we should react this or whatever kind of.
Right. But if you're doing these things where you are undermining the people that one would assume you're in alliance with, that you're all traitors protecting each other, or if you've got friends in the crowd and you're pushing them over and you're the one taking the shields left and right, these kind of things are going to pile up and pile up. And like I said before, they don't have to think you're a traitor to want you gone. They just
Well,
don't want you to win the money. That's
If
all
I
it
was
is.
in this game and we played that game and I was a faithful, I would have been immediately going, wait a minute, all those people running and not helping, there's the traitors, y'all, right there, going up the hill, being selfish because they're trying to take the shields away from people who aren't traitors.
And
right?
speaking of Brittany, she's somebody who would call it out. I mean, we haven't seen a confessional of it, but just knowing the history of Brittany, this is something she'd be like,
But Brittany's smart enough. She's
you
going to lay
know,
back this early in the game. She's going to lay back because she doesn't
she
know
she
she
may
doesn't
not
need to do
call,
that yet.
she may not call it out at the round table or against all the men, but she's gonna call it out with whoever she feels closest to in the game. Like,
So,
there's
like,
no way that's not a conversation at this point.
now in this game, they did kind of I mean, in the end, they banked the money. So they got the
Right.
20,000. So they didn't lose that. But they were gonna get that no matter who we put their stuff on there. So they did better than the Funhouse game, but it was the same no communication thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so people were
Which is
looking
what
at
Bob was
Sierra.
yelling about, ironically.
They were looking at Sierra and Nikki, right? Everyone was like, it has to be one of those traders has to be Sierra or Nikki. Why didn't they stop Sierra and Nikki from getting up there? That should have been the strategy. Now, obviously, they did, but you know what I mean? If you think that's the person who's the trader, you want to keep them from taking spots that could go to Faithfuls.
Yeah, it's okay.
Or like Dylan could have thought, Bob, I'm not gonna let Bob get a spot, or whatever.
Right. And if you look at, so you see the chaos of the first couple of roundtables, the chaos of these games, and the lack of the teamwork. The Bambies are like the only actual alliance, right? Because even the
But are
Traitors
they
are
really an
people who
alliance, or
talk
are they
to each
just
other.
friends hanging out?
well, they think they're an alliance. They call themselves an alliance, and so we're gonna let them
They're
have
the
their pronouns.
Bambies.
We're supportive. They can have their pronouns. The thing is,
With hearts right over the eye, it's a heart,
with
right?
little hearts. The thing is that when you have somebody like Rob who comes into the game, yeah, there's the damage that Rob can do himself and so on and so forth. But one of the big reasons to bring Rob into a game like this is he's like an Australian shepherd. He starts herding the sheep into their prospective corners and grouping people and teaches them how to play a strategic game. He didn't just go, let's get out Bob. And at the beginning he did, they could say anything to a group of people who were convinced, Nikki's the traitor. Well, now we're going to sit down and say, well, I don't think Nikki's a traitor. I think it's so-and-so for any dumb reason. And everyone goes, oh, yeah, you're right. But he didn't do that once he decided the moment to take Bob out is now. When he was serious, he went into his separate groups. He didn't let them mingle. He talked to them each separately to know they weren't going to double cross or talk across his back.
If he could have kept them all on the beach, he would have. But he was kind of doing that thing, right?
Exactly.
He's doing that's a very Rob move. I'm going to grab
Yes.
these people, pull them
Mhm.
aside, talk to them.
But then
Yeah,
he's
very
teaching them, he doesn't have to teach the Big Brother players. He doesn't have to teach the Survivor players the voting block system. But the focus that he had on like the Bachelorette people and the Desperate Housewives, or not Desperate Housewives, the Real Housewives, the desperate ones make way more money.
That Jersey Shore person, all those people.
Whatever that show is,
Selling Sunset, I don't know, all those things. Yeah,
Vanderkampian. They don't have this system, locked into their
Right.
competitive nature. So he's teaching them like, no, you have the numbers. We've got this person and this person and this person.
right.
I need you to convince this person, and that'll give us the numbers. We can do it. This is our time right now.
They were told there would be no math, Jamie.
Do you
Lies and
think,
deception.
Jamie, I want your opinion on this. Do you think that Bob calling him out is exactly why Rob decided to get rid of him? Or do you think that was just a convenient edit and that was kind of Rob's plan going into it and that it was the easiest way for them to tell the story?
I'm going to be really honest with my presumptions was that the first person that Rob was going to really put his target on was going to be another traitor.
Sure.
And so the Bob the drag queen calling him out was just the excuse.
But it was but remember the last round table,
it's a pretty convenient one.
To protect Bob, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, oh, he stuck his neck out there to try and protect Bob.
Well, yeah, but now presumably another day or a day two has passed in real life.
But then Bob says what he says about the Cage Gang, and then is acting bossy on the hill.
I think that he made the decision then. And the reason he made that decision is he had another day to gather information. And what he said at the table was important. He said to him, like, who jumps when, who do you all jump when every time somebody says jump? Like,
who's been leading this?
Who's been leading this thing?
Our failures.
Who's the leader of this outfit?
Like he got another day of intel and saw the power Bob had. And then when Bob throws him out, if he lets Bob get much more power and him and Bob get crossways, he's voted out. So
he made a very compelling argument, though, didn't he?
Well, I mean, yeah, you have to admit, like, I'll give the guy.
Are we going there now? Is that?
He's like,
we're there. Yeah, we're there.
I'll give the guy this. Like a lot of people, somebody comes at him and they don't respond well. His gameplay and doing this stuff and being in front of people has served him well. He was cool, calm, collected,
and he laid it out.
He did. And when, I swear to God, I'm not a traitor, 7 words. And he goes, I got 2 words. And he's like, you are.
You are.
You are.
And, it was great.
I have to say, what you saw there was an absolute master class of reality TV. He knew exactly what he was doing. And the funny part is, if you flash back to a week ago when Bob got all indignant when somebody raised his name, the other person backed down, Bob tried the same thing and it didn't work. And the reality was, from the moment Rob spoke up, it was over. There was nothing Bob the drag queen could do or say to get out of it. And he had him. He knew he had him. And he just was like, I'm going to fillet you and throw you out. You're done.
But he studied him enough to set a trap and said, he set a trap and said, now watch what he's going to do. He's going to do this and this when I say this. And he did. He overreacted. He deflected. That was his MO.
He overreacts to everything.
True.
Exactly. But
pass me a muffin. Pass me a muffin.
But they've seen enough people. They've seen enough people not overreact.
Now it's offending people. Anyway,
and he took cheap shots. And
Brian, this is literally what we're telling you why he is this mega player that he is, because he does. He's now you can kind of see it.
And I'm no Rob's fan at all.
I get it, but the devil's advocate in me would say this. If I'm sitting there watching, some of those people, that vote was close enough that if
he's lucky,
if Danielle had not sold out her friend and gotten 1 or 2 of those other women who were just following him because he's Boston Rob, if they would have been like, look, guys, like this, I don't care what these dudes are saying. They're all fighting each other for shields and doing this crap. We said today, Sierra or Nikki. Like, everybody's going with Sierra. Sorry, Sierra. If we're wrong, we're wrong. But we believe as a group, it's one of you two, and they would have done it. But this is why I don't like bringing those kind of players in, because they swayed people who aren't stronger players, but because Brian, of who they are, not what they did.
Yep,
what you're saying is logically correct. Yep. Right? That the girls should have gone over. Let me tell you, after watching Boston Rob for years, Danielle could have said whatever she wanted, and those girls were going to follow Boston Rob anyway, because he's like the Pied Piper of mids. Like, if you're mid and you're kind of
Piper of I don't know what to do.
Yeah, like you're middle intelligence, a nice person, you follow Boston Rob.
Well, because he's friendly, and he's the guy who, like, with one hand, he kind of like slaps you on the shoulder and then stabs you with the other one.
What he did here was so deft, because now he has a following in the house. He got a traitor out. They love him. Yeah, there's a couple. Wes is agitating for him. But you know what? He's got a following of the mids. Wes is a strong player.
He does.
The mids love him, and the mids are the majority right now.
Okay, everybody that loves this, that comes on here, that loves Boston Rob, light me up in the comments. I do not give a crap, because I haven't watched him. I don't know anything about it. But if I went in there and I heard the group and I saw this dude just twisting the group to his end, I would be like, okay, like let's be a little careful here that this Mr. Charisma is now having people eat out of his hands. The
Yep.
one move he made that there was a pivotal moment, and I don't know if the way they showed it, I don't know if the edit was true or if they went back and cut it this way, but he was smart because he tried to make Dylan do his dirty work. And when
Yes, he did.
Dylan didn't,
Wouldn't stand
he
up. Wouldn't
stepped
speak
up.
Yeah.
He stepped up because if he didn't, he'd have got called out for that. Somebody would have said, well, you were so
Hey,
big and
yeah.
bold. Like, why didn't you say something? When he stepped up and led the charge, that's what got their loyalty, because Dylan ultimately didn't do it and chickened out because the group was wavering at that moment. If he didn't step up then, he might have lost his chance. But I would be real hesitant of the person who all of a sudden is a genius one day.
Well,
and
he
Wes,
he shouldn't have said, "I am 100% sure."
nope. And Wes,
Don't say.
I mean,
that.
come
Say-
on.
say
When
he's
Tom,
got to be, but don't say I'm 100% sure.
when
Like, you're
Tom
not.
is like the one, like Wes led them like a college professor. He's like,
Like,
and how are you
can't.
certain?
Mm.
It's like, well, how are you certain? And Tom was like, because you're a traitor. It's like, the dumbest guy in the
I fucking
house.
Get it?
Now,
Everyone was like, "Can't be."
there was
But
an
here's the problem:
interview.
is Tom is going to go back to Boston Rob, and he's going to go. Of course, Wes says that. Let me tell you what about Wes. Wes is a good player. Wes is a smart guy. He's manipulating you. Wes is the traitor.
And some,
And they'll go, yes, Boston Rob, you're right.
and
Wes
some
is the
will.
traitor.
Yes.
Ooh,
And
Dave, you're
some
not
definitely
wrong.
will. But
Exactly what he'd do.
now there's an interview this week on the podcast that Carolyn does, and the guest was Sandra. And Sandra brought up when the option to bring Robin to the game was there, that they were basically idiots, because she's like, if I saw him and the hand was out, she goes, I wouldn't stop and think about it. I would put my hand out. I would shake his hand. Rob's coming in the game. I know where he is. I have my ties on him. I can make a loyalty with him. I look at the next guy over that I'm worried about, and I cut him immediately.
Exactly right. That's
Because
I
you
think
knew
she's
he
right.
was
It would've
coming
been
back
Tony.
into this game. You knew
Yeah,
they
because
didn't
once
bring
you
him
saw him
for
there,
nothing.
you had to know.
Yeah. So you need somebody like that there.
But
However,
wait, Jamie. Let me just ask a question. Had they cut somebody, would that have been the third person in the cage? In
no.
other words, was really nobody going home no matter what?
I feel like if they had cut somebody, yeah, I guess
Depends on who it was. Maybe
they could have been if it was a big player, but also I think
I
they
mean,
could
unless there
have
was
a
a third,
backup,
like a backup cage person.
and that could very well be,
I would like to know if
or
there
somebody
was
who's
an
going to come in the
alternative.
game later.
Like on Survivor and stuff, we hear when there were alternatives. I would have liked to know, did they have an alternative?
I mean,
Not alternative.
they
Alternate.
do for everything.
you.
They have alternates, so I'm sure, why wouldn't they on this?
I just but see, like the Boston Rob of all this is why I like it with normal people. Like it's just the cult of personality,
Yep.
and
But
I
I
get
don't-
that's why you all love it, and I get why a lot of people
but
love
here's
it.
the thing.
I do not like Boston Rob at all. Matter of fact, I kind of loathe him, but because I can't understand why everyone can't see him coming.
Okay,
it seems
but here's the
obvious
deal.
to me.
I think
Nobody
he made
But
wanted
you
him
can't deny
pleasant.
his brilliance. Is my point.
Nobody shook his hand. Nobody wanted him in the game, right? Because of
Right.
this whole thing. I think, honestly, that should be working against him. You would think he'd come in the game and immediately everyone would be like, don't trust him, don't trust him, don't trust
Well,
him.
that's
Hey,
like
don't trust him, don't trust him.
when he
And
returned
everyone
on
should be
Survivor
thinking
and they
that
let
on
him
the-
stay.
And then next thing you know, he's able to do something like this. And
But it's like Brian said, it's because everyone that you're standing around is gamers, and you feel like they're at some level with you or below you. But when you see somebody like Rob, or the caliber of a player that Rob has been, he's not a gamer, he's a celebrity, he's a rock
then
star. So you
why
want to
didn't
know
that-
him, you want to get
but
close.
then why
But
didn't
that's
that
not why
work
he's
for
winning.
Sandra
He's winning
last
because he's
season?
playing chess and they're playing
He,
checkers. Maybe.
he's done a wonderful job. He's done a wonderful job this week.
The answer to your question, Jamie, is that Boston Rob on this show is John Locke on Lost. Like they get there the first
All right.
day, nobody knows each
And
other.
nobody wants him.
And like everybody's like, ooh, like that guy's kind of like he looks powerful, and I don't know about him. And then they start getting picked off, And guess what happens when you start getting picked off or you start getting hungry? The
Yep.
guy who goes out in the forest and hunts and brings back food, you're kind of like, okay, let's give him a chance. Let's listen to him. The guy who's smart at gameplay, when you're starting to get picked off and you've been wrong multiple times, you start saying, okay, maybe like I'll listen to this guy because they don't know what they're doing. And we all recognized last week that group was in chaos.
Now, I have a question about Danielle, but before I ask it, we need to go ahead and take a 7-second break for commercial. And then when we come back, I'm going to ask the question that I have been thinking about all day since I watched this episode. Okay, so the question is, Danielle came into this game and she had some big beef with Brittany because Brittany cut her and they're friends and they're supposed to be loyal to each other. And we watched Danielle do exactly that. So, and she thought it through, but in the end, she said, he's my ride or die.
But I gotta, yeah.
And she cut him.
Yeah.
So the question is, does she get the hell over the issue with Brittany now? Can that be done? Can we squash that beef?
I don't think she will. Honestly. So there's something about Danielle. And I loved her on Big Brother, but there's something about her that is a little like too self-assured when she shouldn't be self-assured about certain things. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's like she's self-assured, but she's holding back. And if she didn't hold back, her self-assuredness might get some gameplay, might get some traction. But she's doing this weird like push and then pull thing, and the timing's off on it.
And she's kind of like this. She's kind of, you know what? This is what it is. I just figured it out because she did the same thing when she voted for Bob. That she was like, if she didn't act that way every time she turned a person's name over, they should know she's a traitor at this point. Because she was all emotion, showing that she should. I'm like, stop it.
Yeah.
So is it a holier than thou kind of a situation? You know what I mean? Where she's like, oh, I would never cut someone. And now that this is her ride or die, she's not going to get to talk to Bob before he goes. And she's voting for him. Does she have to make sure he sees that she's just gutted for doing it? She didn't want to do it. They made her do it. They're so mean.
Well, I think given her previous experience in gaming and what she went through on reindeer games, which I mean, like, honestly, it's, I don't want to say it's silly because she had a relationship and she trusted somebody and that sucks,
Sure.
you know, and
Sure.
different people can deal with it at different levels. To each their own on that. But if you're going to come into this game and that other player is in on this game and you're going to talk about that's your past and that's your beef with this person, and I've seen it over the months since that had happened, you know, like a lot of comments in reality TV world about that situation. When it's your turn to make that call, what do? Do you go out of your way to express to not just Bob or the people at that table, the viewers watching? Brittany may have done this to me, but look at how much it hurt me to have to do it. Or is it really sucked because that was the one person that Danielle felt safe with this entire game, and she knew her goose was cooked if she put someone else's name down.
But why did she feel safe with him? Is it because he was a fellow traitor and they were in there the tour to begin with, and she was diminishing Brittany or Carolyn, so she only had him. She chose him for that reason.
Yes.
It's because when there were three of them, her and Bob ran over Carolyn.
Yes,
and she picked Bob over Carolyn. That was obvious. They both did.
And she's got some real issues with Boston Rob. I call it Boston Rob envy. She absolutely wants to.
Do you think that?
I want to give her some credit.
She's going to work with Carolyn? Do you think like she's going to see the writing in the sand and go, okay, we actually need to be loyal to each other?
She might work with Brittany, but she's not going to work with Carolyn.
I think she will, and I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt because I didn't watch that other show. I think it's harder if she went against Bob and she was a faithful. I see that differently than going against Bob as a traitor because she knows the things are turning. And guess what? If she knows who can vote her out, like, you know who you're making an enemy of at that table. If you're a faithful and it's another faithful, well, you might survive. If you're a
Right.
traitor and you're making an enemy out of a traitor,
You're
well,
goose.
guess what? You just watched two traitors go head to head, and one of
Mhm.
them's gone.
Mhm.
Like,
Yep.
she's in a harder spot than normal, and I think that was a self-preservation. Now, I don't think the play up to that point was stellar, but
Mhm.
I give her a little more grace than I think you give her, because I think she was in a really hard position seeing Rob cook that room and knowing Rob's a traitor and she's a
And if she-
traitor.
And if
And-
she would have voted the other way, she was next.
Then because then if Carolyn went the other way too, she knows it's 2-1 against her, and those two are going to be
Mhm.
talking and going.
Yeah.
She's
Carolyn's going to follow Boston
Yep.
Rob. for the
So-
rest of the
Well,
season.
because they have the Survivor thing also.
Yep.
It's family. It's part of the Survivor family. She's said it this season already.
I mean, even though they
Yep.
they hit Tony, they didn't care about that. But
And that's another thing that Sandra said.
she
She said
got all
with,
broke up about it.
Sandra said with all of the Survivor players that
Yeah,
are
she
in
didn't
this
like that.
season, she said, I would not cut a Survivor player. I would not until the numbers were dwindled down and
Yeah,
that's
that
who was
was
left
that
of
was
us. I would
surprising
not
to
cut
me
family.
that they did that.
yes,
well, Carolyn
I
didn't want to
get-
cut Jeremy
Nope. Mm-mm.
at the beginning.
Nope.
She
She
said
didn't.
like she said that. She said
She didn't want
like
to. She didn't
she
want to
was
cut Tony
crying.
either.
But
Like-
if you're Boston Rob, you know those people, the Survivor people over everybody knows who you are and knows how dangerous you are. They're the ones that are going to gang up.
They're the biggest target against you. Yeah.
Because the housewives are not going to realize what you're doing till it's too late. Big Brother
Yeah.
people will pick up on
They're
it.
going to go
And
over
I
there
don't
and
know
going to
about
say,
I
hey,
don't know about
housewives.
Ivor, I don't think he'll pick up on anything.
Ivor's gonna go, man. My family's tame compared to this.
I love Ivor.
That's awesome. I want Ivor to go a long way just because I enjoy him.
So
Another-
here's what I think about
Okay, go ahead.
Boston Rob. Okay, I think he's going to continue on this way. He might float on this route. He's not winning this game, Brian. He's
Mm-mm,
not.
nope.
He's
Nope.
making big moves and he's doing good things. It's good gameplay. As far as like the moves,
he
he's
is
meeting
promoting the Boston Rob brand. Is
He's
what
meeting
he's
the-
doing.
He's
Whatever,
meeting the
that's fine. Good
demands
for
of
him.
his contract.
He is staying on brand of being a big game hunter
And-
Yep.
and playing a big game.
You bet.
But
He is
he's a-
probably making more to be on that show than the winner's going to
I
make.
think
Probably.
you might be right.
But like we talked last week about how he loves to mentor someone, and I just hope he's setting up a great situation for Caroline to win. Like he can do all of these things to kind of maneuver stuff right now, and maybe that'll take some of these big people out, and maybe that Caroline will slide in on that.
Well, there's one thing
Be the
that
ultimate
Rob is
traitor to
Well,
beat them all.
See, I see
really
a
good at
Caroline,
that
Brittany,
she's-
Rob.
See,
Alliance?
but Carolyn's already thrown Brittany's
On
name
paper,
out.
man.
She threw
Can I
Brittany's
ask you all,
name out last episode.
can I ask you all a question? Do you think
Anything.
Nikki got a little more time this episode because of
Yep.
what happened
Only-
with her?
Only because she was shortlisted, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think she might
like
be
the
another
narrative.
one that's I think she might be another one that's over ignored by people.
Well,
Yeah.
if my winner's pick had, he said, listen, she's paid to be dramatic, to be over the top, to do these things, and she's in here and she's being this quiet, that's traitorous. And not for nothing, that might be a good argument. In a house where you don't know who anybody is when you're faithful, that's a good enough argument probably for a lot of people to go
anything
go
you
on the
can
Nikki
give
Jet
to
bandwagon.
someone.
But why did no one go back to the bookcase?
I
They
know well,
did.
they went
They
in there
did.
and
They
they
went
they
down
were
No,
there.
there
no.
chilling.
But
What do you mean?
why at the table?
chilling.
Why did they just drop that as
Oh,
like
did they
the
not
suspects?
discuss it more?
No,
I think it's because they said I think it was easy enough to say like, yeah, I went in there and they went in there and like everybody came in there. Like we all came and checked it out.
Okay,
and that
but-
was good enough
but-
sale.
But Bob at breakfast said he went in there. He admitted
Mhm.
it.
Right?
Okay, and who'd he go in there with? Like I hope next episode people are going back
That
and trying to.
conversation's got to be had.
Well,
right?
Carolyn,
It's gotta be
Carolyn was the
had.
one that was said, "Hey, Dylan was in there, and he was like, hey guys, look at this,' and we all went in there."
Yes, which was great, which was good job.
It was
Now,
good.
another moment at the
He's not
round
gonna
table
believe her.
that I don't know, just irritated me like to no end. And not because of who the person is, though that definitely helps sell the irritation. Is I believe it was Sierra. Was it it was yes, it was Sierra when they started calling Sierra out. There was a few people that had her name, and then there was some swearing. And then Mr.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Highness Garrett.
You must be
please,
afraid her because
please,
she's using
please allow the lawyer to discuss
Yes, please.
the
Yes, go for it.
genius of police interrogators.
Baby,
Yeah.
the
That,
floor is yours.
that if someone
Yeah.
uses profanity, that
They
means
must.
they're guilty. They must be guilty.
Listen,
Well,
these-
guess what? I am beeping guilty as beep then because I use profanity. So much so.
Oh my gosh.
So much so that I got a warning from the crazy Hank Brass that I better watch my words on here. So I'm watching my words.
Watching
that-
my words carefully.
Last
That
week,
was
what'd you
the
do?
dumbest. I was told that because of the content on this
Just be
channel,
careful.
be careful. So I don't
When he
want
was
to
invited
get.
on.
Just
yeah.
be very careful.
You're
Yeah,
doing
So I'm
fine.
being very careful. I'm
You're
not
being
I,
gonna.
as careful as
cannot
we
drop my favorite Australian swear
But
word.
that statement of if you
Yeah.
curse, you are guilty is the bleepingest bleep that I've ever heard in my
Agreed.
bleeping life.
Agreed.
And with all the other reasons to not like Derek, David, that was the one you go like, oh, crackpot detectives in this country. Is that really what detectives think, that like when you're interrogating someone, well, if they curse, they're guilty? Is that what we're doing here, people? It's a good thing he's retired, right? He's no longer a detective. It's a good thing.
Yes,
'cause
that
I
has
think
been
he's-
the
I think Derek might
sentiment.
suck.
The sentiment of a few people that said, "Thank you, reality TV, for getting this detective off the beat."
Seriously. Really?
that
That's
was
his
a weird-
indicator?
That was a weird
Because
choice to use.
If you're innocent to him, you go, well, golly gee willikers, officer.
And you smile,
I
and you
sure am
smile.
upset at everything you're saying because there's no way I would do those things.
Gee whiz,
You're
gee whiz,
like,
sir.
Hey, pal, back
hey,
off.
Mrs. Cleaver, you sure looking nice today. What, is
Oh,
that what you're supposed to do?
you talk like a 1950s house dad. Clearly, you're free. Go
Obviously.
on.
You've done nothing. You've done nothing.
I was surprised. I'm gonna be honest. I was glad to see people jump to her defense because of all the reasons
For that.
to say I
little
want to kick
nugget.
you out for swearing. That means you're
Yeah.
guilty. Like this. Okay, folks. This season is TVMA. It's not TVDE for Derek. You know.
I super wish that like all
I
of
feel like Bob the drag queen says more swear words in a sigh than that
Right?
woman has the entire time.
I would have
But Jamie, that he is guilty. So let's be careful
True,
there.
that's
Let's
true,
not
that's
mix
true,
her.
That's true.
I would have liked it.
Well,
if
and
Sierra
in
would've-
fairness, we're not hearing everything she says. We're only hearing what makes the episode.
but
Yeah.
still, what, she curses more than anyone else? Maybe that's
I
why
mean,
she has
yeah.
more
That's
to-
fine.
There's
I
nothing
don't have a
left
problem
when-
with
after you
cursing. You know
bleep it all,
that.
there's nothing left.
Yeah, it was goofy. Let's just leave it at that. Let's lay it on the floor. Derek, that was goofy.
Wait, we can't beat him up no more? That's it? All
Always,
right.
whenever. I mean, like, whatever.
Wait, to pull a page out of his playbook, has he confessed yet?
He
And-
hasn't.
Oh, he hasn't.
What?
Let's keep beating.
I know. What can we do?
Let's keep beating. Derek.
I do love that at the end of all of the argument, to seal the scene before we switched over to votes, we had Bob H just drop a giant F-bomb and cut to black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the drama feed.
I wish
So
when
good.
after he had said that many of them would have looked at him and said basically F you.
Right?
Like,
Like, come on. Come
yeah,
on,
seriously.
buddy. Come
We're
on,
adults
buddy.
here. Thank you.
Well, is there anything else in this episode that you want to touch on before we get into our contacts here?
I would like to give a shout out.
All right, shout out.
I want to shout out Bob the drag queen because his exit
Amen.
was freaking phenomenal.
Oh yeah, golf
And
claps
his
to the
exit
Absolutely.
interview where he said, like, look, like I think I'm better than him, but he thought I
got
was
me out.
strong and he
Yeah.
got me out. Fair
It's true.
play. I
Yeah,
thought
very
he
true.
was a good sport.
Yeah.
I thought his exit had all of the drama that you like about him in a good way.
In a good
And
way.
I like that, I like that he lawyered and said,
And he-
"Be
and he
careful, I
told-
don't
he
tell a
drug
lie."
it out. Yeah.
Like, I swear to God, and that's not a lie because I don't believe in God.
Well, he drug it out. He said so many things, and they were just like, "Is he? Is he?
And-
Is he?"
I
is
thought,
he?"
I mean, as far as
was really great.
exits go, I mean, unless you're like, the East German judge in 1980, that was like a perfect landing. He stuck the landing. It was beautiful. And kudos to Bob. Let's all give Bob a hand for I
You
wish he
know-
was
Golf
on.
claps. I can't give him a hand twice.
I will say though, when he saw it was going around, I really was really worried. I thought, oh, he's gonna freak out. He's gonna freak out. He's gonna
You
freak
could
out.
kind of tell exactly when he knew, like, it's a done deal. There's no
But-
more to fight. I'm
Yes,
on
it was
this
a
end of
done
the game
deal,
now.
But he still had all that anger for Rob.
I
And
like to
thought,
imagine.
oh, he's
Tony-
gonna say something biting, and he didn't. And
If
I-
Rob
And
makes
Tony
it-
is still, by the way,
Mhm.
butthurt at Rob.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Tony
Tony's
is still
still
butthurt
mad.
at Rob.
Mhm.
Oh, sure.
Well, if they
Well, they're
bring a
buddies.
couple of people back in later in the season, boy, wouldn't if
I've never seen that happen.
if
but-
Maybe
Boston.
it will be now.
Well, they have in other versions.
Yeah,
There have been
but isn't it
people at
kind of
a.
similar-
Oh, okay. Well, fair
Isn't
enough.
it
You
like three
watched-
people in
shut
a
up.
coffin or something? They have to save one or something. They're in the graves, right? Or
Was
something.
it the Moroccan?
There were
Brian,
people in the
or-
church. I
Oh,
don't
that's
remember
right,
which
that's right.
version. And
The
they had the masks on.
Yes,
And they
yes.
were the
Yeah.
participants, and and the way they've twisted, it wouldn't surprise me. And if Boston Rob makes it far, boy, wouldn't it be interesting to bring Bob back into the game?
At
Bob
least,
and Tony.
at least as an antagonist.
Yes, as an
something.
antagonist.
Yeah, I
May
think,
not be able to play anymore, but somebody there to throw
so.
some
I think
things
Rob
out.
will get far. I think he might be one of the I don't know, maybe at 6 or something.
Yeah.
I have a
That
really,
feels
really
right.
hard.
Doesn't that feel right?
I have a hard
And
time
then-
believing that Wes and
They'll figure
Derek
him out.
aren't going to set him up. Like, I
Well,
just
they're going to try. There's no
They're gonna
doubt.
try.
they're
but I
going to
think
keep
it'll
him in
take- I
front.
think
They're
it's
going to
gonna
keep
take a
him in
couple.
front.
But right now, he's
I
a
don't
big
think they're
fat
gonna.
meat
yeah.
shield.
Yeah, they're
Well-
going to keep him in front, and they're going to keep him there for a few minutes. But at the end of all of this, they know he's our last kill.
But
Yeah.
here's the thing, Jamie. If you're Derek and Wes right now, you're like, look at this. All these people are talking. No one's even glanced at us.
Sure. And
Let's
same,
just let them
Except Bob, but he's
eat
gone
each other
now.
until they stop.
yep,
Wes is
Yep.
going to make a move. Wes is starting to make his move,
Okay.
though.
getting a little antsy.
But
that
they have
fella.
right now tonight, or as of the end of the episode, that night they have the turret meeting, which is going to be. Oh, I'm not
Okay, this is
looking
what I
forward
wanted to
that.
ask. Who do you think
Not
they're
like-
gonna banish?
Right, so they're gonna hit someone. They're not banishing. They murder them. Murder.
I'm sorry, murder. Who will be murdered?
So you
It's-
definitely don't
guys,
touch Nikki
guys,
or Sierra.
It's murder.
Well, I,
Roll it,
Murder.
baby. You got to roll it.
There you go.
Murder.
So who are they
Um,
gonna murder?
I don't know, because first of all, I think Daniel's gonna have to chew Rob a
Oof.
new one, and then they're gonna have
Oh,
to
she's-
somehow compromise
She's gonna be so
between the
drama.
three of them. How do they
no,
do
there
it?
isn't
So
going to be a
drama.
compromise. Rob will say who goes home, and Caroline will vote with him. That's the end of that.
Oh God, you're probably right. Survivor.
Maybe that's the reason he wants to get rid of the fourth, because with four, it's too many to try and get a consensus,
you can-
right?
do you know how hard it
And
would
he
be to
can't
control
control
Bob?
it. Now he's
Yeah.
in total control.
Now it's like 2-1. Okay, we both wanted this, so and now we don't have to be in here for 5 hours. Thank you very much.
So who do you
True.
send home? Who do we all send
Uh,
home? You go rando,
You know
or do
what?
you go?
You know what?
Pointed.
This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that Rob doesn't necessarily say who. I think Rob is smart enough to go, who do you guys want
this
out?
this is the week it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because you got like one more week of it could be anyone. It doesn't
be
really
anyone.
matter.
Well,
So
it
maybe
doesn't-
he lets Danielle pick because she's mad at him.
what's
Mhm,
going to
mhm.
matter more than who is up there is how, after Rob being so open at the table and supposedly spearheading and getting Bob out, a traitor, if he walks into breakfast, everyone's going to go, how did he not get hit? Right? Oh no, Shields. Who's left from
The
the Shields?
Shields, yeah.
Does Rob
It's
have
all
a shield?
women. Yes, because all the guys got shields. Oh wait, so hold on a second. So
Ivor
he'll be
doesn't have a
safe this
shield.
go around, but they're gonna wonder why he's not murdered the next time, don't you think?
Well, that's a long time away in gameplay.
Well, it'll be next episode.
I mean,
But
I could see the possibility that
it's
just
gonna be I
because
gotta open my list now.
Carolyn has mentioned Brittany already once, I feel she may mention Brittany again. If she mentions Brittany this week, I could very easily see Daniel shutting that down and saying, I can't do it. I just did this to Bob. I can't do it to Brittany.
It's not going
Even-
to be a Survivor player this week
no,
or a Big Brother player.
but I think that because there's already some heat on Sierra, I don't think it will be her. I think Sarah will be safe. Maybe one of the other.
Robin?
It's going to
I
be.
think Nikki. I think
I
Nikki's
think
gonna
Robin
too.
goes home.
I think it's going to either be Robin. That's a good call. I think Robin's a good call.
What was it she said at breakfast that was so spot on? She was
Because
the one that
Robin's
figured
smart.
it-
Robin's of the housewives. Robin's the one that
Mhm.
would scare me.
She
Yeah.
was the one asking about the bookcase, right?
And Gabby.
saying like, "Hey, oh, sorry, that's Gabby."
Yeah, Gabby
Gabby, I
and
think-
Robin, I think are gonna. It's gonna be
I
one
think
of
they'll
those
hit.
two.
If they're smart, they'll hit Gabby because she might be. Yeah,
Gabby
you
has
think?
had a couple little nuggets where she's
Mhm.
been paying attention.
she's kind of close. Yeah, they even said it, didn't they? They
Yeah.
said, "Oh, she's kind of getting close."
Yep.
She's sniffing it out. She
Mhm.
definitely is. Well, you know what? We're gonna have a lot of time to figure all this out because they have separated this show into 1 week increments, and
Yeah, here
we're
we
gonna
were
be
thinking we're gonna
watching
have 3 tonight. Ah,
well into March. So
yeah,
this is going to run head first into Australia Survivor, US Survivor.
U.S. Survivor. Jamie, you're
Yeah.
gonna be
Oh.
podcasting 3 nights a week.
Bam, bam, bam. It's all right.
well, the good thing is
What
we're
I'm here
doing this on
for.
Friday, and that shouldn't compete with any of your other
This
stuff.
is Friday,
so-
but AU Survivor's got to be either Tuesday night or Wednesday, and Tuesday night means you got to watch the episode then broadcast.
Right. Yep. We'll get it figured out. If I have to do 2 things back to back, it
it'll
will
probably
not
be
be the
Tuesday.
first
I bet you
time.
we can do that.
It's happened so many times between the Big Brother and Survivor schedule.
So, are we
overlap.
ready for my announcement?
And
I'm
maybe
ready
I
for
read
the
on
one more
Facebook
thing.
right before. Right, I got a major announcement.
Oh, major announcement.
He's-
Is
he's
it like it's
he's
like a
gonna
leg
lose
lamp?
it.
It is
major
a huge
Major
announcement
award.
that at 12 noon in Melbourne, Australia. I'm sorry, at 7 a.m. in Melbourne, Australia on Sunday morning, they will reveal the date that Australian Survivor will start. Now, for those of you who didn't do the math, that is 3 p.m. Saturday on the Eastern time zone.
All right.
And
Thank you, because I
and
did not
2
do
Jamie,
that.
p.m.
2
for
o'clock, 2
you
o'clock, Jamie, 2 o'clock.
Midwesterners.
All right.
Folks,
You know-
this is why if you just watch one show, you can have a life outside of podcasting.
Brian, listen.
Brian, you haven't
my
left your
goal
house in a
is-
week.
Because I've
My
had
goal-
COVID.
Well,
My goal is that you're gonna have so much fun
Fair.
with us. and
Come
the
on, that was
Traitors.
funny right there.
You're gonna jump on AU Survivor because it is freaking pretty rad.
It's something. It is something.
It's real good.
It's
And
It's,
we're
worth
on
it's
the same
Survivor
thing
the
on
way
podcast.
God wanted it before pros
We
fucked
watched it
up. Oh,
after being U.S. Survivor
it up,
fans.
messed
We
it up.
watched it and then decided it was so good that we had to podcast about it. That's what
Yep.
happened.
Do you see Fergus giving his reaction to everything you all are saying?
No, you get Jonathan Peliglia. No Fergus. We'll get
He's,
you to, we'll get you in that corner, and then you can have JLP behind you with them big strong arms just giving you the look.
well, we continue to be perfect. We once
a
again
twinkle in
did
his
not get an email this week. No emails, even though we got a great new email with a throwback domain name.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
We're bringing Yahoo.
No, it's because we're
We're back.
excited. We're like, yeah. You know, we're
We-
The only way it would be better is if it was tally the feedback at 4yahoos.com. That would make it perfect.
It would. It would.
Okay, seriously,
We'll put
Mom,
in-
would
we'll
you
put
send
in
us some
a
feedback?
request. Yeah, Mom,
I've
come on.
tried. Listen with
Come
all
on,
of
David's
begging for
mom.
the emails. I have tried to send the email so that he could have an email, and then he didn't read it because he's like, "Oh, it's just from Christy."
I did read it. It's actually the only email
was
we've
like
ever
the week-
gotten.
It was like the week that I wasn't going to be here or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll send an email.
Yeah, listen, I know that emails not everybody's go-to anymore, but if you do have any, if you are listening or watching this later than now and you have some thoughts that you'd like to add, this is how you do it. Send us the email, let us know what you are thinking, who you suspect is in trouble next, who you like, who you don't like, whatever. And then we'll
If
read
you
it
don't like
in the
me, be
next episode.
gentle because I have a really tough ego. I'll start crying.
Aw.
That's not entirely true. He'll just eat it up with a spoon. He loves the attention. Say whatever you want.
Yeah, positive, negative. It doesn't matter to me.
It's fine. You can also like and subscribe, and then you will know when we are about to hop on here and have a conversation. And then you can talk to us in the comment section in the chat as we're recording this. You can also find us on Instagram and Tally the Votes and Facebook Tally the Votes, where I will often screenshot the fun things from the other social medias and throw it on there if you don't do the Blue Sky, the Twitter, or Threads. Go to Facebook. I'll show you what's worth looking at. Other than that, we will be here again next Friday for the next 17 years, apparently. So you'll have plenty of time.
I think we're going to have some double eviction weeks, right? Because I haven't done the math yet, but it feels like it. It only goes to March.
It's a lot. But we're going to be here and we're going to love it. And there's going to be fantastic fashion. And you know what? I think because in Tally the Votes tradition, I would like the three of you next episode. We usually get at least 2 or 3 outfits from Alan. We're gonna tally the votes and vote for the best one.
Okay, this week he had a very charcoal thing going on with his eyes.
Smoky eye, some moss, a moss vest.
Oh, the moss vest, yeah, because my husband did go, what is he wearing? He's got something there. And I go, it's the lapels.
This week, though, I've got to say that Layla wins with her little tiara, and I love that little doggy. He's so cute. I'm always the sucker. Put a cat and dog in people clothes, and you got me. That's all it takes.
Christy, I feel like somehow you're related to Dwight Schrute with your fascination with eyes.
No, definitely not.
Watch the eyes. Watch the eyes.
Let's go for the eyes.
No beet farmers in my family.
That's a shame. I really would love a beet farmer as a friend. I need you to work on that in the meantime.
I do like beets, though.
But other than that, that's all I got until next week. Anybody else have anything else before we say goodbye?
Nope.
Just that I want another episode right now.
I know.
Clock striking midnight. Got to get in the cars and go.
It was the funnest episode of reality TV I've watched in a long time.
Yeah.
Just from a pure enjoying watching it. So.
I do
going along for the ride.
Do love a plan hatching out to a good blind side. It's one of the best things you can get in these shows. So even though we lost Bob, who is really great TV, but what a way to go. Guys, I don't have anything as good as Bob on my final statement. So I'm just going to leave everybody with have a great day, have a great evening, and we'll see you next Friday.